10 years ago, David Beckham comes in, the international star. How are you, Commissioner?
I'm great, Colin.
He arrives. Did the league change? You now play in new stadiums. This league started 22 years ago. No TV contracts, begging for attention, old football stadiums. Now you have sparkling stadiums. I've been in 4 of them. You've got TV contracts, the 2 biggest networks. You had, I think, your biggest rating ever for any MLS game ever in the championship game.
Right, on your network.
Yeah, on our network. So is Beckham the linchpin? Is Beckham the tipping point for your league?
Well, 10 years it's amazing that it's been 10 years. And I don't think we would be what we are today had David not made that decision to come. But, you hit it right, Colin. It was at a time when we just had done television deals with Fox and ESPN. It was a time when we had our first downtown stadium in Toronto. It was a time when we really were going into what I would say is MLS 2.0, new stadiums, expansion, bringing in international players. And David kind of was the tipping point of that next generation of growth. But, our league has doubled in size since he's been in the league. We've got many, many more stadiums, many, many more fans. We are a league, and I love the fact that you use the NBA analogy. Think of how far we've come in such a short period of time. We are the 5th major league in the United States and have great television partners, great sponsors, and lots of people who love our game.
8 years ago, a franchise was worth $37 million. Today, $185 million. No league's growth has been greater than the MLS. And I have supported soccer. My mom was from England, so I watched it, Johan Cruyff in the World Cup as a kid going overseas. Yep. You have a league schedule that is not on the same schedule as European leagues, which allows you the opportunity to, if you want to, cherry pick a star and bring him over. Now, in the early growth of the league, that was uber important. Are you ever concerned that instead of the academy system and domestic stars, could you become too reliant on needing an international star? Are you changing the way you think of doing business?
There's really 2 things there. We are a league that needs to have big international players that attract the attention of all those people who are watching the Champions League on Fox.
Okay.
Right? So you've got to be able to capitalize on the global aspect of it. You want them young? So David came here at 31. The average age of those international players that are coming now are 26 or 27 years old. Right here in L.A., Giovanni Dos Santos, 25-year-old star of the Mexican national team. So you got to get younger, and you do need to have international players. But the American game really is what this league has been built on. You need Josie Altidore, who is playing in Toronto, is 25 years old. Michael Bradley, the captain of our national team, is 28 years old. So you need to have a combination of American players. You need to have some Canadian players. We do have teams up there. And it's the mix of those 2 things that'll make our league better, stronger, and more popular.
Don Garber, commissioner of the MLS. So the NFL is known as the Shield. And they're bigger than the player. The NBA is a star-driven league. David Stern came in and said the name on the back's as big as the name on the front. It worked. He was great marketing understanding. Baseball and hockey sometimes in this country, people complain they're too international, that we can't put our arms around a less glamorous minor league system in hockey, perhaps in baseball. As a commissioner, do you prefer the Shield model, the star model, the international model? Is there something that you glean from other leagues?
Yeah, it's a great question. I spent 16 years working at the NFL as a marketing guy, and it was very much about the Shield and everything that it represents. If you speak to their commissioner, he's very focused on defending that Shield. It really is not about the MLS logo. It really is about our clubs. And when you think about football around the world, people are fans of these big teams. You mentioned Johan Cruyff was a great player for Barcelona. But these clubs mean something in the heart and soul of their fans. And when you're a European club, you have the ability to play in the Champions League so that you have broader attention. When we think about the Seattle Sounders, we want the Sounders to be a popular team in this country. We want it to be popular globally as we go out and have international exposure for our teams. And there's so much that happens in these teams that have great players that connect with their fans, but it's the teams that are lifting that trophy And ultimately, I think that's what we're trying to build.
I tend to look at demographics. Golf is problematic often because you have an older demographic. It's hard for me to sell Mountain Dew and Pepsi. So the viability of the league, Don, to me is what's your demographic. Soccer has something, and I've been telling my audience this for years. Soccer fans are young, they travel, they're educated, often no kids, discretionary incomes. It is a good sport. Your fan base is very attractive to me. I've tried twice to get in on ownership groups in your sport. You're too expensive.
It's not too late, man.
Because I know you guys have been willing to allow public figures in.
Right.
So it's been a very attractive league to me. The one barrier you can face is a lot of America. It's not our football. I hear it from time to time on Twitter. I'll see it today. It's not our football. It's their sport. How do you battle the soccer isn't ours, the NFL is?
Man, I've been dealing with that for now going into my 18th season. This is the most American of all sports, because think of our country, putting all politics aside, we are a land of immigrants. Yeah. We are the league for that new America where I have people that have as much in common with their relatives in Russia as they might with their neighbors in Brooklyn. It's the youngest league, professional league, in terms of it being the most millennial focused. We have the largest percentage of fans who are Hispanic, which is a very valuable thing for us. And when you think about where we are today, all those fans are growing up with our league. So a young kid years ago was playing grassroots soccer in Los Angeles or New York or Kansas City or in Seattle. They love the game because they're playing it. Now they're growing up and they become an influencer. They're a consumer. And when you look at our games, the supporters that are going crazy and waving fans in every one of our stadiums, that experience is coming out of their connection to the global game, but also their youth. So there is no league that has as much promise as we do in terms of where the demographics are going in this country.
We talk about Grayson Allen of Duke is in a tripping, shoving incident. Odell Beckham, as the New York Daily News said, ship happens. We see Johnny Manziel. When I think of soccer players, it's international. Do you foresee an issue ever if an international player came over, had some baggage, came to America? How would you deal with it? To this point, many of your players have gone to college. The backgrounds of your kids, they've been in academies. They are all on soccer. You haven't had to deal with a lot of Goodell, David Stern, Rob Manfred issues. Do you ever think about stuff like that? Because you are so international.
Boy, I think about it every single day. And by the way, it's something we're proud of. I've heard stories that we need some of those off-the-field issues to get out of.
You have virtually none.
And I'm proud of that, and I think it's where we need to be. This is a 22-year-old league, and I could count the off-the-field issues on one hand. And frankly, that gives us the ability to speak to governors about getting public funding for stadiums. It allows us to go out and create ownership groups that are looking to connect in something that's not going to have some of the challenges that have existed in professional sports. But this doesn't happen just because these guys are good guys. It requires training in the preseason. Our combine is going on right here now in Los Angeles. We bring in consultants to come talk to these kids before they sign, as do the other leagues, by the way, about what it's like to be a professional player. And if we have issues, many times it is international players because they're coming into a professional sports environment.
Different culture there.
That's very different. What they say on the field might be different if they're playing in Mexico or Costa Rica than if they're playing in the United States, and expressions that they're using. But anytime that happens, the discipline is significant. We're watching every game on Monday morning. The commissioner and its discipline committee is doing things that are addressing those on-field issues in ways that I think are different than the other professional sports. A guy is elbowing somebody in Major League Soccer. Our discipline committee is looking at it saying, is that going up for a header, or is he trying to hurt the guy? And if he's trying to hurt the guy, that discipline committee of players that our union is involved in is giving me the ability to suspend that player and to fine him. And we're all in this together. It's the players that actually ask for that. And I will agree it gets a bit harder with the international players. They have the right to appeal. And sometimes these guys will get on, sometimes with translators. and say, hey, man, I played in the Premier League, I played in the Bundesliga. That's the way we play. And we say, it might be okay over there, but it's not okay over here. And frankly, it works out okay. The number of fines and suspensions has gone down every year.
22-year anniversary, 10-year anniversary of David Beckham. Don Garber, you're based in New Jersey personally, aren't you?
New Jersey and in Manhattan.
I was going to say, you have the facilities are remarkable. I've been to 4 different stadiums. You guys have smartly crafted an academy system that's growing, and your stadiums. I have a theory that was once thrown to me by a friend, Kevin Wildes. I'll give him credit. He called it the small bar theory. He said if he owned a bar, he would have a curtain in it. And on a Monday night, he would move the curtain so it looked full. Because nobody walks by an empty bar and wants to go in. True. One of the things you guys have done that's very smart, your stadiums, even if it's rainy and some people don't show, they look busy. And it creates an atmosphere and an energy. Nothing hurts baseball more than an April game in Cleveland, and there's nobody in a 52,000-seat stadium. So I think your optics are good, your academy system. And when I get out east, I would love to go to dinner and pick your brain on so much of this stuff. It's a fascinating growth sport. And I'll say it again, 22 years, 30 years into the NBA, they couldn't get live TV championship games. Folks, patience, it's working. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Colin. I appreciate the time.